With less than a week left of September, a historically dumpy month, we are on track to initiate two very pumpy months in October and November. And let's just say, things might not be any bigger. As I'm sure many of you have heard before, Bitcoin typically bottoms in September, and in just a few days, about $17.5 billion in Bitcoin options will expire, with maximum pain being around 107,000 US dollars, which currently the price of Bitcoin sits at about 113,000, which has kind of been back and forth around that level since bouncing actually at 107,000 back at the very, very end of August, very beginning of September. The August 31st and September 1st was the last time we were at that level, about 107,000. So is it possible in the next 6 days we get some sort of, or even actually sooner than that, we get some sort of actual dumpy to the downside? Or in fact, is maximum pain to the upside? Are we about to turn on maximum gainers instead of maximum dumpies? Historically, Bitcoin moves towards max pain during such huge expirations. As Ted on X says, I think there's still a big leg down left before reversal. So what do you think? Do you think we're about to get dumped on, pumped on, or do you think we're about to get mega pumped on? After the dump comes opportunity. We see Merlin on X saying, Bitcoin just gave us setup that legends wait for. Others panic. He's already preparing. So we have two levels that he's looking at here, specifically right around 100K or so, and then also currently kind of where we're trading at right now. But as we also see, something is soaking up a ton of liquidity. Global M2 just went completely straight up. And for Bitcoin to actually mirror that price, it would have to be at about $250,000 per Bitcoin, meaning we have a long way up to go. We did actually grab some liquidity just recently, and there's a lot of liquidity piling up here, as you can see. Potential for a short squeeze is kind of what that signals as well. And as well, one of Bitcoin's most important trend lines, you can see right here, where we see before a major rally, Bitcoin has often retested this. Right now, it's between about 90 to 92,000. Which is also where there's an active CME gap, which I have mixed opinions on CME gaps. They've filled and they've not filled. I don't necessarily think they have to, but I also don't think that it's impossible that they might fill, right? So what would you think about that if Bitcoin actually went all the way down to 90,000 US dollars? I can tell you, actually, one thing I actually wanted to point out before I continue with this video is one of the reasons I haven't made a video is because my entire feed is not even crypto anymore. It's like all politics. So like, I didn't forget about crypto, but truly, I have not thought about crypto that much in the past couple days. So I'm trying to like get more crypto stuff on my feed because I'm trying to keep looking, keep up to date. But like, I don't know. I feel like crypto has just been really boring the past few days. But anyway, $90,000 per Bitcoin. If we went down there, you better believe a lot of people would be. I mean, if we even went back down to 100K, people would be panicking, selling, saying the top is in times a million. If we went below 100K, my gosh, the entire feed would just be people crying and panicking that Bitcoin is done and the bull market is absolutely cooked and the top is in. But as I just pointed out, the U.S. money supply just hit a record 22 trillion. They can print dollars forever. They can never print more Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin catching up to this M2, again, it would have to be about $250,000 per Bitcoin. An Omega candle would have to be made. And again, as I've said a million times, typically Bitcoin doesn't initiate these pumps in slow stair-step movements. It's very often just straight up in like a very small amount of time, and people get caught off guard and they miss the pump and then they end up FOMOing in. But when you miss one of these giga candles, you miss most of the move. You don't want to miss the whole move. That's my point. Like, this entire giga candle could happen like that. And that's why you do not want to be sidelined before a giga candle. In fact, I would argue right now, quite literally, and this historically is also supported by data, when it's like really boring, like it is right now, because let's be honest, the price is pretty boring right now. Look, I mean, we've been going pretty sideways for a while. This is a daily chart. The weekly chart, each one of these is a week. It's pretty, it's relatively sideways. Not a lot of dumps or pumps in the past like 3 months. But when it's like this, when it's really boring like this is the exact climate it is before those mega moves. You don't see those mega moves usually in any other scenario than a lot of sideways and a lot of boringness. That's why the Bollinger Bands are such an important indicator, because they tell us when volatility is at like record lows, because typically when it's at like record low volatility, that's typically the precursor to massive volatility. It usually gets very, very, very boring before it gets very exciting. And let's be honest, it's pretty boring, right? So any day now, one of these mega moves could happen. And we also see gold is absolutely going giga mode. Gold is forecasting actually a massive rally in Bitcoin. The next 6 months are going to be biblical. I would even say giglical. I would say these next few months could be giglically big, potentially. But yeah, we see gold just going straight up, and Bitcoin does have about a 100-day lag on that. I think Bitcoin is going to be catching up sooner than later. Gold blow off top seems close, actually, according to Max. Oh, I actually just realized I was not sharing my screen for any of that. So yeah, this is the one thing that I was talking about. This gold, this one, and then gold blow off top seems close. Liquidity rotation to Bitcoin will be insane. So if Bitcoin is, or if gold is actually blowing off, and then Bitcoin is delayed by 100 or so days, and then Bitcoin runs while gold gets slurped, all of the liquidity gets slurped out of gold and goes into Bitcoin. Another good reason to be in Bitcoin. And yeah, this is again just another chart pairing Bitcoin here with what gold has already done. If Bitcoin follows suit, we're looking at, multiple $100,000 per Bitcoin. Not just a measly $100,000 like we're currently at, but potentially double that, triple potentially. I know you guys don't know. I know you guys know that I don't say things are big unless they're very big. And this one could be pretty big. We also see Bitcoin October is coming. Historically, October has been one of the most bullish months for Bitcoin. I mean, just look at this chart, for example. This is March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Look at this. Only 2 red Octobers in the past over a decade. Only 2. Whereas how many red Septembers have we had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of 13 Octobers were red. Only 2 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Octobers were red. That's pretty pumpy. In fact, October seems to be even more bullish than November and December, which are also historically relatively bullish months. But we also see Bitcoin continuing to hold support. Sentiment is back in the fear, which is good. Biggest long liquidation event of the year has also occurred. October is almost here, as I just pointed out, is a bullish month. That's here. Don't let short-term chop shake you out. It is really testing people's patience. Absolutely. Maybe more so now in this bull market than ever before. I think that might be a decent take, is that this bull market is testing people's patience more than maybe any other bull market. I think that's a valid take, right? Like this has been a pretty tumultuous, pretty unforgiving bull market so far. But that could change. And if it does, think of it like a rubber band. The further you pull that rubber band back, when you let it go, the harder it snaps. Or if you eat a bunch of jelly beans. Okay, so Justin, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the U.S. is ready to buy Argentina's bonds and provide $20 billion in support. What does this mean? More money printing, more inflation, more reasons to own Bitcoin, because your money is getting devalued. Your fiat money is getting devalued by the one thing that is not getting devalued, which is Bitcoin. BlackRock is also now making about almost $250 million per year from Bitcoin ETF. Profitable. Fastest growing ETF of all time. I also see that South Korea's government just said that Bitcoin is a major investment instrument, and they plan on passing pro-Bitcoin laws before the end of this year. We're going to see that also continue over time. Now, we are seeing for the very first time the potential for Bitcoin dominance to have a bounce after about 7 weeks of red dumpiness for Bitcoin dominance, potentially indicating, again, Bitcoin soaking up some liquidity and volume. We did get a slight rejection over the past week on the entire altcoin chart and Ethereum as well. But overall, nothing really that big. It's been a slight pullback, but really not that big. This is kind of a make or break moment. And even if we look at Bitcoin on this chart, let's say we have, aside from this anomaly here, let's say we do have a inverse head and shoulder being printed, and this is about the neckline. That would break Bitcoin to new all-time highs, even on a daily chart. Whereas maybe right now we're actually forming that final shoulder, that right shoulder. Right? Something like this with this being the neckline right here, and then that being liftoff mode. As well, on Bitcoin's weekly chart, really nothing bad has happened. We've actually just touched again on this 21-week moving average, which is now all the way up at about 111,000 US dollars, where we most recently bounced. The stock market has been hitting new all-time highs every day except for the past 2 days. And in general, I think that as we enter this new month, and specifically we see if this correlation with gold, which is continuing to explode, the money supply and Bitcoin really holds up, we're in for, it's just one of those things where you can wake up one of these days. Again, keep in mind, for the past multiple months, the price has been pretty boring. We have not had very massive candles. If we're looking at this chart right now, what is the biggest daily candle we had? I don't know, maybe this one? It's a 4% candle, right? What about this? This is actually a big candle. This is about a 5% candle back on July 10th. 111,000 to 116,000. That was basically the biggest candle, the biggest single daily candle on this entire chart. It's probably right about here. If we go back, actually a bounce off these lows, this was about how big of a daily candle is this? This is about a 5% candle. So guys, in the past multiple months, we have had not really that many big candles. Bitcoin has had a few, less than a handful of 5% daily candles, and not really anything above 5%. An omega candle, a true breakout, a massive candle on Bitcoin would be well over, maybe 10%. And we haven't seen anything like that really in so long. In fact, let's go back a little bit more. I just want to see the biggest candle we can see on this chart. Maybe actually, that was about 7%. Maybe this one back in November of 2024. This was a 11 or 12% candle. Bitcoin went from 80,000 to 90,000 in basically one day. Those are the kind of candles that we can expect coming off of this very low volatility. If we really shift into a more bullish environment, we can expect an actual giga candle. And another thing to highlight too is that, what do you notice when these giga explosions happen? We have multiple massive daily candles in a row. We went from 69,000, nice, to basically 90,000 in a couple of days. That's an appreciation. That's an appreciation of 25, 30% in a week, in less than a week. So if Bitcoin, let's say you wake up one week and let's say we're here where we are right now and we get a 30% candle, Bitcoin could be at $150,000 within a week once an actual breakout happens. We haven't gotten it yet. We haven't had an actual breakout or an actual dump in months. We haven't had, if anything, it's been trending up, right? Slowly over time. It's been mainly just going up, but we haven't had any massive volatility, really. Historically, we've seen way more volatility in the past. But I personally think that is going to change soon. And I think we are going to start seeing, I think shortly here, we're going to see a bigger increase in volatility. And all I want to say is that you don't want to be missing out when we actually get that. And also, you have 14 days left. Sign up to Femex below if you want Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. You get $10 free and up to an additional $2,000 and up to an additional $30,000 depending on how much you deposit. But $10 free just for signing up. Without further ado,